Good Thursday evening, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys have all had a great day so far, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to do a video yesterday, which I usually do, but I was very busy helping my neighbor next door, so I apologize for not being able to do one yesterday, but I am finally able to do one today, so we will be talking about what we can expect the rest of today, and even as we head into the next few days with severe weather, flooding, and as well as Ernesto, which is actually still expected to get at least close to a major hurricane. So we will be going all over that. But let's first go ahead and start off with today's severe weather threat. And as you guys can see, we do have a slight risk level 2 out of 5 threat for severe thunderstorms across the mid-Mississippi Valley, which does include places like southern Iowa, all the way into Missouri, back into eastern Kansas, back into northeast Oklahoma, even into central Oklahoma, back into Illinois, even western Indiana, and a little bit there of western Kentucky. So we definitely got to be watching these areas extremely closely, as we could be seeing the potential for some severe thunderstorms, and that's because we do have a 2% risk for tornadoes, a 15% risk for damaging winds, and also a 15% risk for large hail for pretty much most of the slight risk area. So if you guys do live in this yellow color, make sure you do have ways to receive alerts the rest of today, as we do head into the evening hours and as well as the overnight hours. So make sure to do all that, and that also does include setting your weather radio if you guys have one, because obviously if we don't have a weather radio, then you won't be able to get up whenever there's a tornado warning. So again, if you have a weather radio, make sure that's set. If you don't, make sure to turn on notifications on one of your guys' weather apps, so that way you are alarmed just in case there's a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, which should also wake you up too as well. So again, make sure to do that just in case we end up seeing a brief tornado or two. Now, let's go ahead and look at tomorrow's threat, and as you guys can see, we do have a slight risk across northern Oklahoma heading into southern Kansas, but look how big this marginal threat is. This heads across the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley, as far down south as the deep south, into the plains, and as well as parts of the Rocky Mountains. And the main concern looks to be damaging winds and even some large hail, as we do head into tomorrow. And with those hatched risks that you see right there, so that hatched risk across parts of southern Kansas, as you guys can see, so those are pretty much those black stripes that you see, that indicates a chance for 2-inch in diameter hail. So you guys in southern Kansas need to be making sure your cars are in your garage before we head into tomorrow, because we could be seeing hail as large as 2 inches in diameter, maybe even larger than that. So make sure to be ready for some large hail as we do head into tomorrow, because again, we could be seeing hail as large as 3 inches in diameter by the time we head into tomorrow. Now, let's look at day 3 finally. This will be for Saturday as we head into the weekend, and as you guys can see, we do expect there to be some pretty big thunderstorms still lingering across parts of the mid-Atlantic all the way down into the deep south. So if you do live in the mid-Atlantic or the deep south, I would at least be watching the weather closely by the time we head into Saturday. And they haven't issued the hazards yet, but we will at least need to be watching for a couple of isolated severe thunderstorms. And same goes for parts of Oregon and into Washington, but we're mainly concerned about this area right there. Now, let's look at the flash flood potential for the rest of today. And as you guys can see, we still do have a slight risk for flash flooding across parts of central and eastern Missouri, into central and southern Illinois, southwest Indiana, and even into western Kentucky will be at risk for some flash flooding for the rest of today and even into the overnight hours before we head into Friday morning. So even though we do have the potential for severe storms tonight, and again, make sure your weather radio is set so that way you guys are prepared, because again, I really want to keep you guys safe from this weather, so I'm hoping you guys are doing that. But also make sure it is set for flash flood warnings too as well, because we could be seeing flash flooding across all these areas that I just pointed out, which probably means you should also be alerted if there's a flash flood warning, so that way you know to seek higher ground just in case there's any big time flooding going on. So make sure to also have ways to receive flood alerts, so that way you guys know when to seek higher ground, because if you don't, then it could very well make you drown. So make sure to do that. And then as we head into day 2, which will be for Friday, as you guys can see, we do have a slight risk for flash flooding across parts of the Appalachian Mountains. And then finally, as we get into day 3, which will be for Saturday, we do expect there to see at least some marginal severe storms along with some marginal flooding. And then we start to see that chance ramp back up across parts of the Rocky Mountains. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Hurricane Ernesto, okay? And as you guys can see, we do expect there to still be some pretty big hurricane conditions near Bermuda, and it's pretty much just shy of it. Bermuda is right there, and it's pretty much just shy of it, but that hurricane force wind area could get a little bit bigger, which means Bermuda could very well catch some of those hurricane force winds. So even though you guys might not be right in the center of the hurricane, you guys need to still be prepared for a major hurricane potentially, because this thing could still rapidly intensify and maybe turn into a category 3 hurricane, which if we do see that, then this could really cause some catastrophic storm surge, flooding, and maybe even some damaging winds as high as 130 miles per hour. So we gotta be watching this storm very closely, like I said, for the potential of that. So make sure to be on high alert if you do live in Bermuda. And then after that, the system pretty much will just head out to sea. We can't rule out some areas of flooding, storm surge, and maybe some gusty winds up here towards these areas in Canada, but it's not going to be anything much by the time it passes Bermuda. Now, let's go ahead and look at the global tropics hazards outlook. And as you guys can see, starting off with week 2, we do expect there to be some pretty high chances of development. We pretty much got greater than a 40% chance of development across parts of the main development region by the time we head from August 21st all the way to August 27th. And then look what happens by the time we head into August 28th and September 30th. So that will pretty much be at the end of this month and into the beginning of September, where we got a greater than 60% chance of development, because that brown color that you see right there indicates greater than a 60% chance of development. So we gotta be watching by the time we head into the end of August and as well as the beginning of September, as we could be seeing some very big major hurricanes around, because this is usually the time of year where we see those extremely strong hurricanes, because this is usually the most active part of the season. Now let's look at what we can expect with the tropical storm force winds. And as you guys can see, we do expect there to be a pretty high chance of tropical storm force winds, but not only tropical storm force winds, we could even be seeing just as high as a chance of hurricane force winds as we head into the next few days, especially as the system does get closer to Bermuda. Now, let's look at what we can expect with the drought monitor. And as you guys can see, a lot of drought already ongoing across the Central Plains, heading into the Rocky Mountains. So we could use a ton of rainfall across that area. We could even use some across, Ohio, West Virginia, Northern Virginia, into Pennsylvania. Those areas could really be using a lot of rainfall by now. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. If you guys are new here, make sure to click that subscribe button down below, which again, I really do appreciate. You guys gave me up to 300 subscribers. But if you guys could continue subscribing to my YouTube channel, that would be great. Don't forget to click that like button down below too as well if you haven't already. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns down below if you guys have anything like that to ask me, and I will definitely answer it. And like I said, thank you guys very much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week.